Well, guys, back to back good news from IRCC. They just held five big draws for Canadian PR invitations. These were held within the last 9 days only, out of which the last 3 days had three consecutive draws for express entry. So, amazing news in the past 9 days. Tons of people have been invited, over 8,000 invitations have been sent, and the pool is also talking immense good news for people in the coming few days. So, guys, we will talk about the express entry draws that have happened in the past 9 days. What are the draws like? What is the pool like? And what can you expect from the express entry in the coming year 2024 and the balance of the year 2023? Guys, please be tuned till the end. My name is Sahil. Guys, welcome back once again. My name is Sahil and I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and my office is in Ontario, Canada. If you have to get in touch with me, my number is on the screen and the details are there in the description box. More than happy to connect with you. Before we proceed any further, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon, because we talk a lot about Canadian immigration. And if you are an aspirant of moving to Canada, then this is a channel that you must be subscribed to all the time. So, guys, as you already know, that Express Entry is the staple online immigration application program for Canadian permanent residents, and tons of people are there in the Express Entry waiting for IRCC to hold the Express Entry draws. Now, ever since the Bill C-19 came into the picture, IRCC has been holding draws at random spaced intervals and at random number of people being invited, also with the kind of categories involved. So it is really hard for anybody to predict what kind of categories will be invited. But the last 9 days have been talking immensely about the kind of draws that IRCC has held. So the last 2 weeks precisely, IRCC held 5 draws, and we will talk about each of the draws in this video. So 5 draws that sent invitation to almost 8,300 people across the globe. So first, let's look at the draw that was held today itself, which is the September 28th, 2023. So, guys, this particular draw was focused only towards the agriculture, that is the agri-food pilot occupations. It is a part of the Bill C-19, one of the few categories that was selected. There were about 600 invitations that were sent out at a CRS of just 354. Guys, that's a very, very low CRS cutoff, and this was actually expected from IRCC, because this is one of the categories that is under focus by the Honorable Minister Mark Miller, as well as he mentioned in one of his interviews when he came into power. So this is not at all a surprise, but yes, it's a good news because the CRS is only 354. Yesterday, that is September the 27th, draw number 66 was held, that was focusing only on the French language proficiency category of IRCC Express Entry program. This invited 500 people, so invitations were 500 at a CRS cutoff of 472. Guys, here is the interesting part. Now, 472 is generally on the higher side. If you remember back in 2018 and 19, even 440s, 450s were the kind of cutoffs that people would have seen for all programs. And here, French language will obviously include all program people, but the cutoff is still very high. So that means people have finally started taking the advice very seriously. Tons of people are now using French language to the best, and IRCC is also very smart. They're not giving a high number of ITAs, very few ITAs, but they're trying to keep the minimum score above 470. Previous draws also were very high, right? So the number of people are there in French speaking category. There may not be a lot of people, but the scores are generally not on the lower side, still below 480. Draw number 65 that was held a day before yesterday, which is September the 26th of 2023. This was an all program draw. Okay, the number of invitations that were sent out were 3,000, and the CRS cutoff was kept at 504. Now, guys, interestingly, 504 is a high CRS. People to reach 504, they would have to do tons of things, like for example, say family members in Canada, maybe education in Canada, and then people with Canadian experience class. If you are a master's degree holder below 30, having worked outside Canada only, it is, virtually impossible for you to reach this score unless you have French, or maybe say relatives in Canada, or maybe say some education in Canada or Canadian experience class. It is sort of extremely difficult for you to reach this score. So because this is high, it actually means that it may not be easier for people to get into this. Okay, so this also talks important stuff. The previous week was also very interesting because IRCC held two important draws the previous week. This was draw number 264, held on the 20th of September 2023, not many days before the 26th draw. So this was a transport category focused draw only. Okay, again surprisingly, only 1,000 people were invited. We were expecting more, but good news for truck drivers, right? But the sad part is that the cutoff was kept at 435. Now they would not normally keep the cutoff by themselves, but yes, IRCC can control the number of invitations. Okay, now to reach 435, a normal candidate would be, say for example, a good IELTS score with Canadian education, some years of work experience, an international student in Canada. Okay, so that is the kind of score that you would reach here. Another part to note here is that transportation, although may look only transportation, but going on the occupations, you would see that a lot of people are actually a part of this. So go by the occupations, you would see that tons of people will be eligible under this. Draw number 263 was held on the 19th of September, where about 3,200 invitations were sent out to all program. So no program was specified, and here the surprising part was that the CRS was 531. Guys, this is again higher than the previous one. So again, very high draw, and like I told you, it is sort of impossible for people outside Canada to get this score unless they have an LMIA job offer, or maybe a relative in Canada, maybe experience, or maybe education. So overall, all in all, if you look at the pool so far for express entry, as of 26th of September 2023, IRCC has about 214,000 candidates in the express entry pool as on date. Okay, so this is the total number of people, but the bifurcation is really important. So above 601, there are about 544 people. Between 501 and 600, there are about 2923 people. So over 600, over say 500, about 3,467. So my assumption here is that the next all program draw, if and when it comes, will definitely see a score if the number of people being invited is 3,000, 3,500 only, then it will still not come below 500. So all program draw is still expected to be on the higher side. If you look at 491 and 500, about 3,727 people. So all above 491 would be about 7,194. That's the sweet spot that IRCC is targeting nowadays for, or I would say people are targeting nowadays to get a draw between 490 and 500, because that's a spot where people with Canadian experience, Canadian education can reach easily. So that's where people want IRCC to be, but IRCC is generally above 500 for all program draws. Now between 481 and 490, about 8,544 people, and obviously above 481 would be about 15,738. Total are about 214,000 people, as I told you previously. Guys, all in all, IRCC does not talk about the pool breakup in terms of what category, what occupations. I think if we had that number with us, it would have been amazing. But unfortunately, that information is so far not available publicly. I would say it's not bad. IRCC's express entry draws are still good. The only thing that I would want to see in the coming few months or weeks would be an immigration pathway dedicated to international students only. If they can hold a CEC only draw, although it's very unlikely that they would do that, but I would obviously love to see a CEC only draw. At least an immigration dedicated pathway for international students, and also IRCC to invite more number of candidates so that the CRS drops. I think intentionally they are sort of pausing the draws, then calling people. Even if they call people, they drop the number of invitations. I think they are intentionally trying to play that game so that they can only invite the top ranking candidates, the cream. So I think they are doing it intentionally. Otherwise, these randomly placed draws, after a month's break, would not be there. Guys, this is all we had to share in the news today with regards to Canadian immigration. If you got a draw or if you want to discuss your case with us, feel free to schedule a consultation, and I would be more than happy to speak to you, look at your case, and give you the recommendations. Once again, I wish you all the best, and I really hope to see you soon in Canada. All the best.